Good morning, Michael Losier.
Good morning.
And ladies and gentlemen, this is Michael himself, the real guy who is now in Singapore with the National Critics' Choice. Mr. Michael Losier, tell us more about your upcoming book and also your excitement here in Singapore. I mean, this is the first time.
Yes.
Tell us how you feel, and is there any cuisine that you have tried here in Southeast Asia?
Oh well, I'm a great foodie. It's part of my process. You know, I can travel anywhere in the world. I get asked to go to countries probably 3 or 4 days a week. I get asked to go somewhere. So I usually go to Malaysia once a year for about a month. So I'm a lover of Indian food. I'm Canadian, so we have pretty standard food. So I love dim sum, I love sumai, I love Indian food, I love Malaysian food, and I'm just starting to explore the cuisine here in Singapore. But I love to eat, and I love to try new things, so I'm pretty adventurous.
Oh, okay. And so what was your most memorable experience with food here in Southeast Asia?
What was the most memorable experience? I would say that we went for Indian breakfast, which is dosai, which is my favorite breakfast ever, and I experienced that when I was in Penang, Malaysia. So we went to the Indian village, and we found the perfect place that serves dosai, and I had 2 of them actually. That's how much I love it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And how about in Singapore? Was there anything particular, especially fruits like the durian? Have you heard of that?
I've heard of durian. I've smelled durian, but I haven't eaten that. No.
Oh.
But star fruit, and there's things that I don't see ever in Canada, so I'm very adventurous trying that. And I try not to eat in like kind of westernized restaurants. I love to go to authentic kind of restaurants and try different foods. So I'm pretty adventurous for being a Canadian. Where we like our food pretty simple. So here it's fun.
Many ask about one of the very first work, the Law of Attraction.
Yeah, Law of Attraction.
What made you actually come out with a book like that? Was it pure accidental, or was it fate?
Well, what had happened is I've always been pretty positive even since I was young, and I understood the relationship between being positive and getting positive results. So hey, there's a pattern here, but I never understood how positive people can attract negative things. And then I studied NLP, which stands for Neuro-Linguistic Programming, and I learned about linguistics, or the words, how the words actually make us feel something, and that's what Law of Attraction is responding to. So I studied Law of Attraction probably since 1997, and I had a little group in my home. Every Sunday, 2 or 3 people would come, and we practice it and develop it, and I had a big binder full of notes and testimonials, and people loving the process. They loved coming to my house for the meetings. And one day, I'm working for the government, during this period, and I went to see a speaker in Victoria over lunchtime. And I was so inspired. I loved his message. I loved him being in front of the room, and how he influenced the audience in such a positive way. So I went up to him later, and I offered to take him for lunch, and we went for lunch, and I said, I'd really like to leave my government job and be a speaker. And he said, well, you should write a book. I thought, write a book? I mean, I was a government employee. I didn't know about writing a book. But what I did have was a binder about 8 inches of notes and testimonials and stories and so on and so on. So I took 2 years, and I took all of my seminar notes, because I was delivering a seminar on Law of Attraction, and turned it into a book. And I self-published the book, and I ended up selling 250,000 copies in 3 years of my self-published book. And then in 2006, when the movie called The Secret came out, it created a huge demand for my work. And within 3 months, my book was purchased in 28 languages, and it was available all over the world. And Oprah Winfrey interviewed me 4 times at her radio show, and then I ended up having my own radio show on Oprah's network. And so my whole life changed, and because of the masses got to be aware of the Law of Attraction. So I went from being a government employee who had small groups in his house to being an international best-selling author.
Well, that's amazing, sir. And Michael, tell us more about also your experience with your upcoming new book. Was there something that that actually you have encountered along the way?
Yes. Well, being positive like I am, I meet a lot of people, and when my fame rose in my city, I'm from Victoria, BC, Canada. People would want to take me for lunch and have coffee, and I would go there and they would talk, and I would hear this common sentence a lot. People would say that they're not fulfilled. They're not fulfilled at work, they're not fulfilled in their relationships, they're not fulfilled at home. But I was fulfilled. I mean, I loved my life. I loved going on tour, I loved doing seminars, I loved doing interview, I loved supporting people, I loved coaching, I loved mentoring. So I knew what fulfilled me. And I had spent some time working on that process on my own, and I call them fulfillment needs, which is the title of my new book that I'm still writing. So there are needs that fulfill us. So when I get to influence somebody in a positive way, I feel fulfilled. When I get to support people, when I get people's attentiveness and attention, like in a seminar, teaching them, that fulfills me. So I knew what fulfilled me. So I would be in coffee shops, and I would take a napkin, and I would be with my friends, and I would write stuff down, and they would talk, and intuitively, I would kind of hear other needs that would fulfill them. And after the process, I would say, so would you be fulfilled if your job had this and this and this feelings attached to it? People would say, yes, I would love that. And in most cases, they weren't getting those feelings met at their current job or their current relationship. So in the last year, I've been doing seminars and conference calls on the subject to really help flush out the material. What I'm good at doing is sitting one-on-one with somebody and asking them questions to help them uncover their fulfillment needs. But what was really missing was how to get people to do it themselves. And that's what a self-help book is when you can do it yourself. So I'm in the process of writing my self-help book. It's called Fulfillment Needs, and I have, my strategy with my other two books, I have Law of Attraction and Law of Connection, is that I make them a seminar first. And when I make it a seminar first, then I really get to master the material. And about 1,000 people have taken my course on fulfillment needs. That's a lot of feedback. Hearing from people, they love this, they like that, this was confusing, this was easy. So I'm still developing the process. And even recently in Kuala Lumpur, I did a large seminar there, and at the end of the seminar, everybody in the room uncovered their needs that fulfilled them. So to me, that's feedback that the process is really, really working. And probably for the next 4 months, I'm going to be collecting testimonials and success stories and how it changed people's lives, and I'll start adding that to the book. And eventually I'll present it to my publisher, and I have a website. It's called fulfillmentneeds.com, and people can go listen to an audio about it, and they can also say, click here to be notified when it's ready. So even before the book is done, the very first thing is I did the cover. The cover's been done for about a year, and since January 2011 I've been teaching the subject and getting really great feedback. So I'll have a lot of confidence when the book comes out that the process is doable and that people can do it themselves. And that's what's really important in a self-help book, that they can do it themselves.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Tell us what your readers and your fans could hear from you, some advice about what's happening today in the global arena. There's a lot of talk on climate change and economic crisis. Governments are trying to find answers to how to resolve some of these issues, and people are losing, are afraid of losing their jobs and their homes and so on. Is there any solution that you could provide, an advice?
Well, you know what? Aside from all that kind of news, there's other great news. There's baby beings born, and there's flowers that are blooming, and there's streams that are becoming healthy, and there's habitats that are becoming saved, and there's families supporting other families. So what you just talked about, I don't understand at all. I don't read the news. I don't involve myself in politics. I'm very selfish about what I include. That's not to say I don't care about that stuff, but having it in my energy doesn't serve me or anybody else. So really, if I just stop watching the news, the newspaper, I just go to the living section. I like to know success stories, so that's my choice. Somebody else might want to fight against the war and fight against poverty and fight against all the other problems, but for me it's not good. If I got involved in those negative things, I would have a negative vibe, and I couldn't really serve the millions of people that expect me to help them, to uplift them in a more positive way. Some of those negative things are important because they help birth some clarity, but the amount of time they're observing the negativity really should be reduced. And say, okay, here's what we don't want, so what would we like instead? But instead, there's too many people fighting against what they don't like, when it really takes one leader to say, here's what we don't like, what would we like instead? And focus on the solution and not the problem. So, that's pretty typical in business, with government, with leaders, and all over the place. So, I kind of mind my business around that subject. I'm kind of protective about what I include in my vibration.
Amazing. And readers and fans, please remember this point. It's all about knowing where you want to go and reading what you need to read. And Michael, please tell us, really right now, what would be if you ever were at your own dying bed? I'm sorry, just touch wood.
No, that's fine.
I mean, if you, what will be your last wish be?
Well, you know what? I live a really rich, fulfilling life. I don't have any desires. I don't have any more wishes. Sometimes people say, where would I like to be in 5 years? I'd like to feel as good as or better than I do now. I'm not attached to how I need to do that. So any last dying wish would for people to really get it, that everything that they create in their life, everything that they attract is because of their vibes. And their vibes are a result of their words and their thoughts. If people could really get it around negative thinking and negative words and negative observing negative things doesn't serve anybody. We really need to mind our business and stop observing things that we don't like. It's pretty simple. And to summarize it all, we get what vibes we're sending out. So if people take a look at the results they're getting, it's always matching the results that they're sending. And in my book, Law of Attraction, I talk about reset, like a reset button. You can reset negative results if you reset your vibration, and you reset your vibration by resetting the words and the thoughts. It's really, really that simple.
Well, thank you, Mr. Michael Losier, and readers and fans. This is Robin Stienberg for the National Critics' Choice. Please get his book and his programs, available on his website, as well as all leading bookstores, including MPH here in Asia.
Yeah.
Once again, thank you so much, Mr.
Thanks,
Michael.
Robin.